speaking of the best and the worst, as we talk about, how about we throw that one up there as the question to get things going here about Daryl Morey's offseason? It's from our GM.
Who?
Vince.
Vince who?
Pellegrini.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
Never heard
I'll
of him.
introduce you to him at another time. Taking into consideration here the contracts, length of deal, age of player, opportunity costs of not getting other players, what would you say are the best moves made by Morey this year?
All right. So I'll start this off. And again, he's asking you to take into account everything.
Everything.
Opportunity cost, cost of the contract, cost to acquire, everything. Not just like Paul George is the best player, so he's the best move. So it's a little more detailed than that. What I'll say is I think the best move that Daryl Morey did this summer is signing Tyrese Maxey to that 4-year, $200 or 5 years, $200 plus maximum contract extension. Now, your response to that is, well, Derek, he just gave him the most he could. How could that possibly be the best deal? And the reason I'm listing that as the best, it's not really about giving him the contract now. It's about not having given him the contract extension last summer. Because he was able to talk Tyrese Maxey and his agent into that, you were able to sign Paul George. Whereas if they had just had to give Tyrese Maxey that extension last summer to keep him happy, you wouldn't have had the cap space to go about what you did this summer. So I'm going to list that move, even though really what I'm doing is giving him credit for last summer's negotiation. I'm giving him that as a top spot. And then the second, and I know this is where Vince doesn't agree with me because I've had this exact conversation with Vince in the studio. My next best move, and this is boring, is signing Paul George. And again, it's the one that took the least amount of thought. Yes, Paul George, I will give you that max contract. That's probably about all the thought Daryl Morey gave to it. But
maybe
that is the one that's going to have the most impact. And even if Paul George ends up being overpaid, which, I mean, he's 34, there's a very good chance that in a year or two, he's going to be overpaid. It's going to have the biggest impact on the franchise. And because of the way the salary cap is, because of the way Tyrese Maxey's contract was structured, this was the only year they're going to be able to make a splash like that. Being able to succeed on that splash is going to have more impact than any other move we're going to talk about here. So that's sort of why those are the two moves that I list at the top.
Agree with you certainly on the Maxey one because of how he did it, because I was really after Daryl Morey last summer. Like, wait a minute, as Tyrese Maxey, I'd be ticked off of not getting my contract done when I see my peers, the guys from my draft class, and I'm the 21st pick. I need to be rewarded like everyone else was because of what I did. But to get him to do that, to be able to stay patient, including not just him, but Rich Paul, who we know can be a hard bargain when it comes to being able to negotiate for his players and getting their max out of them. They were patient. They were able to wait and sit there and say, we'll wait for the betterment of the team. We'll sit back and allow that to happen. That was a pretty darn good move. And then you don't waste it the next offseason.
We all silly like the mayor.